Did you ever stop to think if a fully leveled up Yuji could completely halt the Shibuya disaster? Today, we are diving deep into an alternate universe to see exactly how that goes down. The plot kicks off with our main guy waking up from a deep sleep, instantly noticing the vibes are totally wrong. He looks at the calendar and sees October 31st, which is the exact night the villain's trap went down. By some weird glitch in reality, he just time traveled right back to the start of the chaos. Sure, we could have dropped him into the past a day early so he could just tell the teachers and cancel the bad guy's plans before anyone gets hurt, but honestly, that ruins all the suspense. To keep the stakes high, we are dropping him into the city at the precise second the canon events kick off. Before we jump into the fights, we need to lay down a few basic ground rules. Number 1, our guy keeps every single bit of his future combat experience and timeline knowledge. He is fully aware of every impending tragedy. Number 2, regarding the King of Curses, we are sticking to the canon script, so the vessel is sitting at the exact same finger count as he was back then. Now that we've cleared that up, let's watch what unfolds when a veteran Yuji uses his redo to break the villain's master plan. The action starts off right in the subway station where he first threw hands. Blocking the way is the infamous Grasshopper spirit, the exact same monster who annoyingly tried to quiz him on being smart. However, the outcome here is drastically altered. Yuji refrains from even putting his fists up for combat, keeping his arms totally relaxed. He just walks up and instantly wipes the giant bug from existence. A single motion and the battle ends. The pink-haired sorcerer instantly grasps a crucial detail. Every second counts right now. His absolute top goal involves rescuing his blindfolded teacher. Springing into a full sprint, he bolts for basement level where the trap was set. But upon arriving at the scene, dread washes over him. Based on the known historical records, Gojo got trapped exactly 1 minute ago, and looking at his watch, it confirms he missed the window by 60 seconds. Despite crushing the insect guard flawlessly, our guy arrived just barely behind schedule. Accepting that reversing the cubic prison's activation is currently impossible, he shifts his gaze toward his secondary mission, preventing any further casualties among his friends. Following the familiar route, he dashes ahead and links up with Megumi, right as the creepy mercenary blocks their path. Megumi glances at his friend and lightly questions the sudden change in his physical appearance. Prior to Yuji issuing a reply, the hired thug attempts to interject. Listen up, yet the villain's dialogue gets cut permanently short. Faster than lightning, the old man gets diced into microscopic fragments, completely deleted from reality instantly. Megumi freezes in utter shock, struggling to comprehend the sheer lethality displayed. How did you do that? He questions, visibly baffled by the display. Yuji gives a slight shoulder lift and answers smoothly. It was a hidden trick. Moving onward, our overpowered lead accelerates his pace through the scripted chaos. He swiftly intercepts the rooftop fight to assist Ino, effortlessly taking out the cursed Grand Lady and her relative before their seance ritual finishes. As a direct result, Ino avoids a brutal beating, and crucially, Toji is denied his earthly comeback entirely. Going by the standard script, the two teenage heroes were destined to part ways right here. Megumi was meant to stay on the roof while Yuji descended into the underground transit system. However, that separation is firmly avoided today. Rather, the trio sticks side by side as a unified squad, plunging further into the epicenter of the danger. Shortly after, they run into Choso. Yet, contrary to past events, engaging in a deadly brawl isn't on the agenda. Rather, Yuji simply reveals their shared biological connection directly. Understandably, his two companions stand utterly bewildered, trying to figure out why they are chatting with a special great enemy. As the veteran lays out the familial facts, an internal shift strikes the villain's psyche. Shards of alternate timelines rush into his brain. Those bizarre phantom recollections cascade through his head, and the grand epiphany finally settles in. This boy standing opposite him truly shares his bloodline. Once that familial conflict is peacefully settled, the squad urgently pivots toward their subsequent rescue op, aiding Maki against Dagon. Upon arriving at the combat zone, the octopus creature has already trapped everyone inside his tropical reality marble. Luckily, thanks to Megumi, they managed to crack an opening into the barrier. Back in the original events, the resurrected assassin crashed the party and brutally dismantled Dagon. Here, Yuji steps up to fulfill that executioner duty. The second his feet hit the sandy beach, the skirmish turns laughably unfair. The veteran effortlessly rips past the endless swarm of sea monsters, completely outclassing the aquatic boss through sheer physical dominance. Rather than fighting for his life, the grown-up hero ruthlessly toys with the entity, maintaining absolute superiority the entire time. And to wrap up the massacre, He launches a blood sniper technique, permanently exercising the sea creature. As the tropical barrier shatters away, his classmates are left completely paralyzed by awe, struggling to accept the slaughter they just watched. Simultaneously, an overwhelming wave of relief washes over them. The deadly encounter that nearly ended their lives was concluded in mere moments. Yet internally, Megumi harbors a creeping suspicion that his classmate has fundamentally transformed. And yes, to keep this narrative flowing seamlessly, we will overlook the sudden massive growth spurt our protagonist underwent. Post-victory, the squad rapidly links back up with Nanami and Nobara. For a fleeting second, an illusion of safety settles over the United Sorcerers. However, that tranquility evaporates instantly as Jogo blocks their path. The instant Yuji locks eyes with him, his demeanor shifts to pure hostility. Intense fury erupts from within his core. Yuji recalls precisely how this fiery monster forcefully shoved 10 cursed objects down his throat, resulting in the terrifying rampage that leveled the city. Merely glaring at the Cyclops is sufficient to reignite that volcanic wrath. Meanwhile, Jogo remains blissfully ignorant of his impending doom, still attempting to execute his initial strategy. His objective is straightforward: cram those cursed objects into the boy and recruit the ancient evil. Now, casual fans might be wondering how on earth a mere student can defeat such an overpowered elemental threat. To keep things vague yet hype, understand this: a fully mature Yuji operates in a godlike tier. Within this continuity, the hero boasts decades of relentless warfare and trauma. Mentally and skillfully, he rivals an octogenarian grandmaster of martial arts. Put bluntly, this iteration of the character could theoretically box the strongest modern sorcerer and the ancient king simultaneously. Thus, Jogo challenged the absolute worst person alive. Returning to the standoff, the one-eyed spirit lunges forward, aiming to incinerate Maki exactly as history dictated. Yet, before those flames can even manifest, Yuji intercepts, catching the villain's wrist in mid-flight. Time seemingly stops. Aiming his free fingers directly at the monster's eye, the veteran softly whispers a single command: "Cleave." A millisecond later, the disaster curse is absolutely butchered, reduced to mincemeat before his brain can register the fatal strike. The entire gathered squad is paralyzed. Nanami, Nobara, Megumi, and Maki watch in jaw-dropping horror. How is any of this possible? This simply isn't the rookie they grew accustomed to. Our time traveler offers a confident grin and states, "Relax, guys. I'll break it all down afterward." Right on schedule, Haruta pops up. Honestly, detailing the ensuing sequence is unnecessary. We'll just mention that the Miracle Boy's good fortune abruptly expires right there. With the immediate dangers eliminated, Yuji shifts his focus to the most vile threat remaining, Mahito. Back in the original continuity, this stitched-up sadist inflicted unfathomable heartbreak and carnage. Our hero understands that allowing this freak to wander unchecked would result in absolute devastation. Consequently, the seasoned warrior opts to resolve this grudge solo. Informing Megumi that he has a crucial errand to run, he departs from the main squad. Soon enough, he tracks down Mahito. And for anyone questioning if the stitched villain puts up a decent fight, apologize in advance, because this encounter is an absolute wash. The time traveler doesn't even aim for a swift execution. Rather, he deliberately tortures his mortal enemy, brutally outclassing him at every turn. The sadistic spirit rapidly uncovers a horrifying reality. Victory is entirely impossible here. Filled with dread, the villain attempts a desperate retreat, only for Yuji to casually amputate his limbs, pinning him miserably to the floor. While the Avenger stalks forward, Mahito stares upwards in unadulterated terror. The hero crouches low and whispers chillingly, "Don't forget who ended you." And then, dark spark, he mercilessly drives the villain's skull deep into the pavement. Up to this point, this strike marks the very first time the veteran exerted any genuine physical effort tonight. Yet prior to the hero delivering the absolute final blow, a fresh pair of antagonists step onto the scene: Kenjaku and Uraume. Concurrently, Megumi and his classmates arrive at the exact same location. The ancient mastermind, boasting unparalleled tactical intellect, instantly assesses the dire predicament. A single glance at the mutated veteran confirms a grim fact: surviving a direct confrontation is highly improbable. Opting out of a brawl, Kenjaku hastily consumes the crippled soul manipulator utilizing his unique absorption technique. His strategy is clear-cut: run away immediately. However, Yuji lunges to intercept the retreat. Right before he can grab the ancient mastermind, Uraume leaps into the crossfire. The pink-haired warrior gives the servant a look of pure disgust. "Who gave you permission to step up?" he remarks with icy detachment, and then a massive burst of dark energy follows. He buries a tremendous right hook into the monk's jaw, blasting the servant miles across the city limits with one punch. Only one ultimate target remains standing: Kenjaku. The surrounding allies observing this spectacle remain deeply paralyzed by shock. What kind of demon is this? The boy they remember is nowhere to be found. The ancient villain frantically attempts to teleport away with the cubic seal, yet right before he fades out, Yuji smoothly mutters, "Domain expansion." The mastermind locks up in horror. This kid possesses a supreme barrier technique. The ancient curse tries throwing everything he has, but it proves entirely futile. Trapped within this guaranteed hit zone, the mature hero is invincible. He unleashes an endless barrage of dark sparks, pummeling the villain ruthlessly without offering a single gasp of air. To conclude the beatdown, he fires off an immense slicing wave, bisecting Kenjaku permanently. The war zone ultimately goes completely quiet. The time traveler strolls over and collects the sealing cube from the rubble. Reaching this juncture, the alternate reality appears virtually flawless. Our protagonist successfully eradicated every primary antagonist participating in the horrific city raid. Mahito is dead, Jogo is erased, Kenjaku is vanquished. Additionally, Uraume was violently removed from the equation. Crucially, the infamous city-level genocide is entirely averted in this reality. Back in the canon plot, endless masses of civilians perished brutally, while dozens of heroes sustained permanent damage. Yet here, owing to the veterans' foresight and godlike strength, nearly all catastrophic events were neutralized preemptively. Nanami lives, Nobara lives, Maki lives. Megumi avoids the unimaginable psychological scarring he originally endured. Contrasted against the gruesome bloodbath of the original plot, this modified night feels like absolute paradise. It genuinely appears as though Yuji rescued the entire cast, but a single massive complication still lingers. Assuming you have been tracking the details closely, you likely already guessed the missing piece: Gojo Satoru. Despite Yuji eliminating the threats and stopping the genocide, his white-haired mentor remains locked within that cubic dimension. Initially, this may not seem like a critical dilemma. Many viewers might assume they can simply unlock the box exactly how they managed it in the canon storyline. However, the mechanics here are significantly trickier. Back in the true history, Gojo was eventually liberated using the power of a specific reincarnated player known as Angel. That winged individual possessed a highly unique talent that nullified any cursed phenomena, which allowed them to pry open the inescapable cage. Yet, a massive roadblock exists. Angel only manifests due to the nationwide death tournament, and in this specific universe, Kenjaku is permanently deceased. Consequently, that nationwide slaughterfest will never officially launch. Lacking that deadly tournament equates to 0 ancient fighters returning, meaning Angel never awakens. Without her specific nullification ability, 0 viable methods exist to pry open the cursed cage. Therefore, in a cruel twist of irony, despite Yuji keeping his friends alive and halting the Metropolitan Massacre, his beloved teacher would rot in that box eternally, proving this alternate reality is somewhat flawed. So, to remedy this massive paradox, we must faintly tweak a brief interaction from just a few moments ago. While Kenjaku scrambled to flee the battlefield, rather than merely sprinting off, he opts to trigger the Culling Games immediately as a frantic final gambit. Shockingly, Yuji permits this activation to proceed uninterrupted, since we must recall, this is the mature timeline hopper. He already perceives the grand chessboard. He fully recognizes that the singular path to eventually breaking his teacher out requires the specific domino effect that spawns Angel. Thus, Kenjaku initiates the bloody tournament during his dying breaths, kicking the chaotic gears into overdrive. Following that action, the remainder of the beatdown unfolds precisely as previously narrated. Kenjaku is ruthlessly executed. The time traveler secures the cubic cage, and the remaining heroes advance forward fully aware that the chaotic nationwide battle royale has commenced. A few months down the line, the united heroes inevitably track down Angel. Mirroring the core continuity, this specialized fighter deploys her nullification talent to melt away the ancient barrier. The impenetrable cage finally cracks wide open. At long last, Gojo makes his grand return. Now, ponder the sheer magnitude of this alternate reality. The modern strongest is breathing and liberated. The massive citywide slaughter was totally prevented. Nanami is safe. Nobara is safe. The deadliest antagonists were purged immediately. Put simply, this practically represents the ultimate golden ending for the entire Sorcerer Society, which directly resolves the primary mystery we posed at the start of this breakdown. Is a fully matured Yuji capable of halting the infamous Shibuya tragedy? The definitive answer is yes. He doesn't just halt it, he absolutely reconstructs the entire narrative. That wraps up our exploration for today's episode. If you love diving into this theoretical timeline and crave more crazy alternate universe content, be sure to show the channel some love. To every single person who currently follows and backs this content, I am incredibly grateful. I value each and every one of you, and I will catch you in the next one.